Here we are getting ready for another eviction day, and this season is still boring as hell. As far as for the gameplay, but all of the wokeness that surrounds this bullshit season, specifically the woke racism that surrounds this season, and the virtue signaling, is made for a really entertaining season outside of the house and outside of the game. And recently you had Christian Birkenberger make his little virtue signaling tweet, basically stating that the all black alliance that's specifically set to get all of the non black people out the house, he made a tweet saying that they aren't racist. And those remarks need to stop. And of course, you can see the activity that he received on that tweet. He got a lot of likes, a lot of retweets, and quote tweets supporting this bullshit. But this is the same guy, I believe, was the first person to call out this alliance and what they were doing when he was laying next to Alyssa on the couch. He specifically stated every single white dude's gone. And he didn't say that in a cheerful manner. He said it with concern in his tone and concern in his body language and expression, as you can see. Now, I'll post the link to that clip and you can see it for yourself to see if his body language and his tone corresponds with what he tweeted online. And this is why I can't stand woke, white, lip-tarded pieces of shit like this, because they're always dishonest. You know, I prefer the redneck that's just out with it. I don't like these tiptoeing, sneaky motherfuckers because they are still bigoted, but it's to an insidious degree where they pretend to be your ally. You know, I'd rather a straight up fight than a sucker punch. And people like Christian are just a bunch of sucker punchers. And plus, he's making that tweet because he's trying to be an actor. You know, he's already a model who's been in commercials or been in ads. So you have to make those bullshit type statements in order to make it in Hollywood. And I'm sure he's willing to sell his soul and his other holes in order to make it into Hollywood. But it was just funny to see that tweet not match what he was saying when he was in the house. But, you know, he's a fucking phony, so what do you expect? Hopefully, Xavier keeps rubbing up on Alyssa, and he, raw dogs her in the house. Then we'll see his reaction to the cookout after that. Because he's been simping for that bitch since he's been on Instagram, like constantly highlighting edits of them together. And meanwhile, X-Man is in there rubbing on your girl. I hope he's watching the feeds when that is occurring. But again, that's just another example also of this playing for Twitter bullshit inside and outside the house. Now, Christian is an example of playing for Big Brother Twitter outside of the house. Now, let's go inside the house and observe what Kylan has said. Now, Taryn, he's the only tolerable person over there in the Rob has a podcast sphere, and he actually watches the live feeds and he covers them. And according to Taryn, Kylan made a statement talking to the cameras, basically asking to return to the game because this season he's playing the final six cookout game. This entitled motherfucker. See, this is what accompanies this woke, racist alliance bullshit and strategy. You're not just being racist towards other people, but then you're also being entitled. And this fool actually expects to have a second chance because he's throwing away his first chance for a so-called cause that really means nothing. It's just all decor. It's all window dressing. When these people exit this house, a few of them will probably try to hustle it here and there, but once it dies down, it's dead. It will never be brought up again. People will periodically bring it up, and who knows? They still have a good chance not to win because Claire and Sarah B is still in the house, and Derek X is in the house, and Alyssa is in the house. But if one of them does win, it won't mean shit to any so-called cause outside of the person who actually wins. And Kylan will soon discover, once he exits the house, that he is at the bottom, along with Xavier, for who woke Twitter prefers to win this game. And that's the hierarchy of bigotry. Because outside of the race-based alliance, which is racist, you then have the internal racism, where the woke BB Black Twitter sphere and its, white liberal tag-alongs, they have a ranking system. And Kylan is at the very bottom. In fact, black males tend to be at the bottom of it. Right now, they want Devon 2.0, aka Tiffany, to win. She's at the top. In fact, Tiffany is the only one who could get away with nominating 2 Cookout members the next time she wins, or if she ever wins. She's the only one that can get away with it. Xavier and Kylan, they're at the bottom. They aren't allowed to win. The only way that they would be allowed to win is if they're the only 2 there. Because they want Tiffany to win, then they want Hannah to win, then they want Ozza to win, then Derek F, and it would have been Kylan next, but he's messed up that opportunity because he dared to play a little selfishly, by protecting Sarah B and Derek X, because his close allies outside of the Cookout pretty much still in the game. I mean, Xavier right now is the only one that sacrificed the most. He helped get rid of Christian when it wasn't really good for his game. He helped get rid of Whitney, Mama Thickness, even though that wasn't really good for his game. Also Brent, it wasn't a beneficial move for him to get Brent out. And, it's funny because Xavier is the one that's the most gun-ho for this bullshit Cookout thing. But he's the very last person that woke BB Twitter would want to win. Well, he's graduated being above Kylan. But he's second to last. And again, but the fact that Kylan expects an invitation to play again, it just shows you the entitlement that exists with this woke, bigoted mindset. And then you have Ozza speaking with Derek F, talking about she's worried about America and Black Twitter hating her. Oh, God. Black Twitter. A bunch of numbskulls gossiping 24/7, beefing 24/7, and sometimes even meeting up with one another to fight and kill each other over bullshit that they spat about on Twitter. BB, Twitter, and Black Twitter in general. But again, it shows you that this season has nothing to do with gameplay. It's about some fictional fantasy cause that none of them actually believe in or stand for, because it would have to exist, first of all. It's like these idiots who always talk about for the culture, when they don't even know what culture is, let alone have any culture. And it's the same for this Big Brother bullshit with we're competing for a cause. Like, there is no cause. It's just a virtue signal. You know, most of these people, when they win this money, it's probably going to go to one of their white intimate partners because they're all a bunch of fucking swirlers. And there's nothing wrong with that, but when you're going around making racist alliances, then that hypocrisy needs to be called out. Because you claim to be super pro-black, but you're all with the swirl. I mean, that conversation with Tiffany talking about whitey number one, whitey number two, and one having 5 or 8 kids. I mean, she doesn't know because she can't do math. Shout out to Metro D for highlighting that moment where she failed to do a simple addition. And then when Derek X was able to correct her, she said, "Oh, did you have an Asian teacher?" Just straight up blatant racism. But people want to call out Whitney for referring to Derek X's penis as an egg roll. But again, there's no shame in these people's game. They don't mind being hypocrites whatsoever. And then you had a recent conversation between Derek F. and Xavier arguing over who came up with the cookout, who started it. And again, like, this would be something they would have a real life beef over outside the house. And like, they're joking about it now, but like, this is what concerns them more. You know, after the gang bullshit, who gets to claim to be the founding father or member of the cookout? Like, this is what they're concerned with. They're not concerned with winning the biggest prize in Big Brother history, $750K. No, they're concerned whether or not Big Brother Twitter will hate them or Black Twitter will hate them. They're concerned with getting a second chance during their first chance. And they're concerned with who gets the credit for creating this bullshit alliance for a bullshit cause that doesn't exist. And poor little virgin Britney. Like, she thinks she actually has a chance. Little does she know, she's about to go into the jury house because she's white. Sorry, sweetie. You're white. You have to go. But it's not racist. Bye. It's absolutely ridiculous, man. Like, you can't say that this is a cause to right the wrongs of what went down in previous seasons when there's never been a season of Big Brother where an all-white alliance was formed. You can assume that, you can speculate that, you can project that, but that's not evidence. That's not facts. So you're telling a lie when you say this is a cause to address prior seasons of Big Brother, because there's never been a white alliance. But these fools have proven that they don't care about facts. Like, they literally do not care. They will invent shit all of the time. And this racist alliance is based on an invention, rewriting racist wrongs. And that's the funny thing, again, about BB Twitter and Black Twitter in general. They don't care about facts, but at the same time, they want to call out the judicial system, falsely imprisoning black folk. But in the court of public opinion, you don't mind inventing shit. So which one is it? I guess both. These motherfuckers don't care. Like, they will contradict themselves shamelessly all of the time. And you have these stupid ass white liberals who are the most insidious racist pieces of shit, infantilizing these people and encouraging them to basically be retarded. Because as far as emotions are concerned, they're illiterate. because they can't comprehend how can this be called racist. I don't get it. Even though every single season that I've watched, they're quick to call something racist when it appears to be exclusive. When it appears to be, oh, it just is all white people because, it's three white people in the room. So, of course, that's a racist alliance. But then they go out and actually do it, and then they don't understand how it can be called racist because it's for a cause. Like, you can repeat it's for a cause, all the fuck you want. So what? Guess what? The neo-Nazis, that's for a cause too. The actual white nationalists and white supremacists, that's for a cause too. Does that justify their bullshit? No. But again, like, you can't expect people to respect you. If anything, you should expect to receive the hate that you deserve if you're going to have these double standards. Because you can't expect logically for people just to accept this bullshit. Now you have dumb white libtards who don't mind flogging themselves. Hell, they don't mind putting their own lives at risk and dying over this bullshit. And I say to that, that's what they deserve. Every time I see, for instance, a story like this, where a doctoral candidate who sought to prove justice system was racist against blacks, and see a woke bitch like that get stabbed up by a black man in Chicago. I fucking laugh at that. Because you want to play this stupid fucking game thinking it's just simple black and white, especially in this day and age. And then you put yourself in the jungle in danger. You deserve the bullshit that you're asking for. And people like Christian is a prime example of that. So again, I hope Xavier dicks Alyssa down while in the house and he has to watch. And then I want to see his tweet about the cookout after that. But lastly, Claire recently had a conversation with DX, and they've been noticing what, Christian noticed before, the possibility of an all POC alliance. Yes, a colored person alliance, because that's basically what that means. And Claire has had conversations with DX about that, but she's also had friendly conversations with Sarah Beth, friendly conversations with Alyssa. And with Brittany obviously getting evicted, you can only start to surmise that if Claire wins HOH tonight, more than likely 2 members of the not white supremacist alliance will be hitting the block. Now, I've heard her mention Xavier before, and I've heard her mention Kylan in conversations. So she could play that angle where, let's get the strong guys out the house. The guys who can win this game. Oh, and it just so happens to be guys like Xavier and Kylan. And do you think Tiffany will fight hardcore for them? No. Because she is the one Cookout member that can get away with targeting 2 other Cookout members. Because they're trying to act like she's Will Kirby, Vanessa Russo, and Dan Giesling all wrapped up into one. But the bitch can't even count. But, Tiffany just represents everything that so-called black Twitter represents. Loud and wrong, combative, stank attitude, and entitled, all at the goddamn same time. But yeah, this season may not be that interesting as far as gameplay. And the season may not be interesting because There's no one really trying to play to win that money, the largest cash prize ever. But the exposure of the woke racism that has always existed within this so-called Big Brother community, that being put on full display, that has been very fun and entertaining to watch and to talk about. It's the main motivator for me to make videos and keep watching the feeds so I can have more material to call out these bigoted motherfuckers who co-sign this bullshit and the white liberals who, I don't know, maybe it's a fetish for them to be punished. Punish me. But I can guarantee you one thing though: if the Cookout members weren't Biden supporters, if they weren't pro-feminism, if they didn't wave the rainbow flag, oh, you'll see those woke libtards on BB Twitter and on Twitter in general call out this alliance for being racist. Because if you're seen as a black conservative, then a white liberal is allowed to be as racist as they always are, but without any restraints. And they get the cosign from their token Negro allies to be racist as hell. But anyway, the most interesting shit is all the hypocritical nonsense going on in Big Brother Twitter and the conversations that highlights that hypocrisy in the house. So I'm going to keep talking about it until this season ends. I'm rooting for Claire to win HOH tonight. Get him.